Hey guys, it's been a while. We've been behind the scenes doing all kinds of stuff to figure out how we can improve on what we've already done. Um, Gosh, it's been I think 5 or 6 weeks ago now. I was in Kansas City for almost a week in training, and I was with the guy that actually invented polyurea back in the early '80s. So got to spend a ton of time with him. We had breakfast together, we had dinner and some drinks after class together. The class lasted what was it, like 9 hours a day for 3 days. So it was really intense. But one of the things that the class gave me an opportunity to do was sit down with him and go over all of the things that I was seeing as we were building these roofs. Polyurea has been in the camper roofing industry and commercial roofing and all kinds of places. It's been in the world for quite a while. We're not really doing anything new with polyurea as far as a camper roof goes. What we are doing different is a lot of the detail work that we're getting into. But before we get into some of the details and stuff, I'll point that out as we go. I just wanted to talk in general about some of what we've changed, why we've changed it, and then some of the misconceptions. Over the weekend, I posted pictures of this roof because we'd sprayed it on Saturday. I took some pictures of it and threw it out there. And with some of the changes that we've made, everybody was up in arms, and it's not flexible enough. And I had somebody on Chat GPT figure out an answer that said that this wasn't the right application. What I can tell you is we don't do anything kind of haphazardly. If I make a change, we test it and we see how it performs. We understand what it's going to be like, and then we try it. And if it doesn't go the way it was planned, we had an RV or a camper in here with a floor as an example. That thing fought us for 3 days before we finally got it to the product that we wanted to actually build. So there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on, and that's one of the reasons that you haven't seen a lot of videos is, frankly, I haven't had my mind in sitting here having a conversation with you. I've had it in trying to figure out how this thing's done. So the roof that I'm standing on now is a fiber reinforced aliphatic polyurea that we spray. The polyurea that we spray is proprietary for us. And the fiber reinforcement is a new process. I don't know anybody doing it in camper roofs. The reason we're doing a fiber reinforcement, there's quite a few reasons, but the biggest one is there's a lot of irregularities in a camper roof, and there's a lot of seams. I've talked about this in some of my other videos. When you've got two sheets of plywood that are sitting right next to each other, the plywood can flex. This is a piece of sheeting. It's been sprayed for months, but you can see how flexible it is. It does way more than any camper roof is going to do. So flexibility is not an issue. The issue is when you've got two pieces of plywood and they sit right next to each other. If you take them straight down or straight up, if this shear movement happens, you're going to end up with a tear on that seam. The fiber lays over the seams. There's no decking seam that has a fiber seam next to it. So basically the fiber is a transition between one sheet to the other. What it does is it prevents this kind of shear force. That's one reason we put it down. There's always a difficult transition to go from the roof side to go down onto the wall side. Everybody struggles with that. Most of our competition goes in and they don't even look at it. They don't even do anything with it. They spray right over the side and they continue right down and spray the gutter in. My fundamental change in all of what we do is we don't spray any of these fixtures in. If you need a new vent, you take the vent off. If you need a new pipe vent, you take the pipe vent off. If you need a new roof vent, you take the roof vent off. If you need a new skylight, you can just unscrew the skylight, take it off, put a new one down. Same thing with the gutters. So what I'm trying to do is not have you committed to come back to us, or not have you committed to come back to a polyurea place to spray this because you made some sort of a change. The fiber allows us to take the gutters off. We go down the side. We've got a process that we worked out on how to get the fiber attached. We actually spray over the side with the roof material, and then we run a bead of sealant along with the gutter. We attach the gutter back, and from the ground, it just looks like it's got a new roof in the same old gutters. One of the other things that the fiber does that helps this roof is it drastically improves the impact resistance or tear resistance. It was kind of funny because over Facebook, ChatGPT actually said that, well, maybe this isn't the right roof. It didn't say that it wasn't. It just said maybe it's not the right place for it. But it did say that impact resistance and tear resistance would be dramatically improved. That's the reason we're doing it. Basically, what's happening is the fiber is in the polyurea. When we spray this, the polyurea soaks in and it becomes, think of fiberglass. When you lay fiberglass mat down and you put the resin over it, the resin soaks through the fiber. There's a very similar thing happening here. This is a Coke can. Actually, it's a Miller Lite can, but anyway. And I can't squeeze it. You can't see how hard I'm squeezing that, but I've talked about this before. It doesn't have any fiber in it. If it had fiber in it, the compression strength of this thing would still, it would be way, way higher. Flexibility is not reduced. Just the fiber takes on the characteristics of the polyurea, and it still allows all of this flexibility, flex to happen. So no issues with flex. There are issues, but they're good issues. Impact resistance, tear resistance, all of that is dramatically improved. The reason we're using aliphatic over a pure polyurea with a top coat is once this roof is sprayed, the color change is going to be very, very minimal over a long, long period of time. I want to use the highest end product that requires the least amount of maintenance, and this is the product to use. If we use a pure poly, like a lot of the competition does, we're going to have to top coat that, and over time that top coat will give itself up. It'll come off, the UV will break it down, and it'll fall off, just like galvanizing or any of the other coatings. This is pure bright white aliphatic from the top of the roof all the way to the bottom of the coating. There's no top coats or anything else going on. It's more expensive to spray, more difficult to spray. It's less forgiving. There's all kinds of drawbacks. So I get why the competition doesn't want to do it, but I feel like this gives us the best product, and we've pretty much figured out how to do it. We're always trying to improve. So I'm not saying that this is the way we're going to sit, because I don't like to sit still, but this is a really good roof. One of the things, I'm going to go down to this vent. One of the other things, this is a brand new system to us. I learned about a lot of the things going on with polyurea while I was at the class. And one of the things that I found was how many parts are made out of polyurea. And honestly, I was kind of blown away. Since I've been in this industry or been around it for close to 20 years now, I've always thought of this material as a bed liner, a coating. You spray it on bed liners, you spray it on concrete, you spray it in cooling towers, you spray it on roofs, you spray it on campers, you spray it on bumpers. It's a coating. What I didn't know is there are a ton of parts that are made out of polyurea. So that got me thinking. One of the things that we do different than I don't know anybody else doing this in the polyurea spray world, but this black curb is a solid polyurea part that we manufacture in-house. Once we manufacture it, we run sealant around the bottom of it, we screw it down to the roof, and then we screw the vent or whatever down to that. The air conditioning's setting on it. Right now we have a 14 by 14 opening. That's our first piece that we're building. Eventually, here over the next several days, weeks, there won't be much more than that because I've already got a demand for it. But we're going to make some manufactured pieces that you can put together into odd shapes. So if you've got a weird shaped skylight or something like that, and then ultimately we'll end up with pipe vents and roof vents that will all have, there'll be polyurea curbs that you can put on your TPO roof or EPDM roof or even a fiberglass roof. What it's going to do is it's going to completely eliminate the need to replace the sealant all the time. The sealant's underneath the polyurea curb. The curb is polyurea, so it's completely waterproof. And then the vent or whatever fixture it is has sealant underneath it, and then it's screwed down to the polyurea curb. It can't trap water anywhere. Water runs completely off of this. There's no place for this thing to leak anymore. Everything is completely sealed up, and honestly, this is the way it ought to be. So that's what we've got going on. I've actually got a customer that just walked in, so I'm going to have to cut my rambling short. This is what it looks like. Fiber reinforced aliphatic polyurea curbs, and then we're using a polyurethane sealant on top. So if you've got any questions, that's what's going on. I'm going to come up with an installation video on how to install these curbs on a TPO or an EPDM or a fiberglass roof. And these are going to be readily available from us in the very near future. We're working on the website, so you can go in and click, and you'll have a kit with the curbs, the sealant, and the instructions, and a video and a link to be able to get a hold of me if you're having trouble. So that's what it's up. Sorry it's been so long. We've got a lot going on. Matt's working on mechanical stuff. We've got a suspension, Roadmaster suspension job going on. Jordan's camper, God willing, is almost ready to spray, and we'll be able to get this thing out of here. And we've got, I've lost count, but we've got a whole bunch of roof jobs lined up outside that we're getting to also. So some of this social media stuff is slowing down a little bit until we've got everything else in place. But that's what's going on. I appreciate you watching. Sorry it's been so long. We'll be back soon. Talk to you later. Later, guys.